Donald Trump still doesn't have any good answers about why we are at war with Iran in the first place or what happens next, which is such a key, important question here. But he is talking anyway, a lot. He's calling a lot of reporters. And what he's saying is incredibly unsettling. I mean, case in point, an interview just published by Time magazine. And here's what it said, quote, asked whether Americans should be worried about retaliatory attacks at home, Trump acknowledges the possibility. I guess, he says. But I think they're worried about that all the time. We think about it all the time. We plan for it. But yeah, you know, we expect some things. Like I said, some people will die. When you go to war, some people will die. I mean, first of all, old bone spurs there is just throwing around flippantly about putting men and women at risk around the world, which I think I did not serve in military. You have all served. Thank you for your service. It's crushing. But let me start with you and what you thought about when you heard that comment that he made.
I mean, this is a guy who has absolutely no idea what it means to put your life on the line for the country. He's never respected troops. He clearly does not respect them today. But you know what? I'll admit a mistake because honestly, I've been blaming Trump for his derelict decisions. But actually, it turns out that he's just so weak and easily manipulated that he's just bowing to his peers around the globe because he's abandoned Ukraine because he gives in to Putin.
Who did he bow to in here, Netanyahu or somebody else?
He's sold out Venezuela to his oil buddies. And yeah, he couldn't say no to Netanyahu. And so it's not even Trump's war, it's Bibi's war, and Americans are paying the price. Already 6 American soldiers dead. We'll see if civilians are next.
I wanted to play, there's so many things that people in the administration are saying right now that I think it's important for people to understand how off and disturbing they are. I wanted to play something that Secretary Hegseth said today. He did a press conference. He talked about it escalating, but he also called, well, I'll play it because I want to ask you about it.
The dumb, politically correct wars of the past were the opposite of what we're doing here. They had vague objectives with restrictive, minimalist rules of engagement. No more.
I mean, politically correct wars, that is such triggering phrasing. I also made me think about just, and all of you have spent time in situation rooms, in briefing rooms, about the decisions that go into using military force. And I wanted your just thoughts on that.
You know, another stunning statement by Pete Hegseth. Look, the president hasn't answered the most basic questions that any commander-in-chief should be answering on the front end. He has not explained a clear rationale for going to war, which should always be the last resort and only out of absolute necessity. He hasn't explained why we abandoned diplomacy. He has not, and I fear cannot, explain and answer the basic question of what comes next. And that is his solemn duty. And it is an insult to every freedom-loving American, every person who served in uniform, and to every person who's in harm's way right now. We pray for the safety and the success of our service members. But with a commander-in-chief at the helm who can't answer these basic questions, this should alarm every American.
You may not always agree with the strategy. You may not like the tactics. But if you're asked to put your life on the line for your country, the most basic thing that you deserve is the truth.
This is Congressman Auchincloss. Let me go to you because to Congressman Goodlander's point, I mean, Trump also said today to Jonathan Karl, forget about next, as in don't worry about what's next. And I just can't emphasize enough how important what's next and thinking about that is. But can you spell out for us, you've thought about this, you've been on committees, you've actually served. Why is that so important? What is really missing here?
What's missing is what in the military you would call commander's intent, which is commander's intent is when the highest level echelons of command describe what they want the world to look like after this mission, and every subsequent command nested within that then executes a mission to accomplish that commander's intent. And it's actually a great strength of the United States military because it empowers our junior and field grade officer corps. But it requires at the top that the commander-in-chief knows what the heck he's talking about. And in this case, I can only imagine what our commissioned and non-commissioned officers are thinking when they hear this guy stumble through basic questions like Maggie was describing. And I just hope, I really hope this is a reckoning for Congress over the War Powers Act, because this is exactly what the founders envisioned. They understood the threat of a standing army that could be abused by a commander-in-chief, and the Constitution is crystal clear that Congress gets to declare war. And under the War Powers Act, we have ceded that authority. It is well past time to reclaim it. We've got to better define what the word hostilities means. We have got to lower from 60 to 20 days the amount of time that the president can commit troops. And we've got to do automatic funding cutoffs so that he doesn't have this unrestrained ability. But it is time for Congress to take back the steering wheel.
To your point, and I think everybody's watching has been paying attention to this, but did not pass the Senate, did not pass the House. That's why you're talking about reclaiming it. There have been several conflicts in recent decades where it has not passed. I would argue that this president, without a plan, with completely unfettered power in his mind, is even more dangerous than the past. But what leverage, explains, because this is always the question I get. I'm sure you get it all the time. Democrats are not in control of Congress, at least currently. What power do you have? What leverage can you use to try to push for for the war powers to for it to pass in the future, or other leverage you can use? Should there be a funding fight? What could you do?
Well, I mean, first of all, it would help if all the Democrats voted together to support the War Powers Act today, because the number one element of leverage when you're in the minority is you got to hang together on the big votes.
Yeah.
And then number two, they're going to come presumably for supplemental funding, and there needs to be absolutely a hard line that there should be no funding without authorization, without significant hearings and oversight.
Congressman Ryan, let me ask you about something else. I was reminded of this today. We all knew about this, that Trump basically has been running his whole public life as somebody who was against forever wars, as trying to pull back the military from the post 9/11 stance around the world. That's the argument he's made. He even suggested that Kamala Harris would be somebody who would start wars and not him. I wanted to play something that he said on election night in 2024, just for people, because this was quite it brought me back.
They said, he will start a war. I'm not going to start a war. I'm going to stop wars.
He said something similar in his inaugural address. What do you think happened here? I mean, what is going on that has switched his whole approach here?
Betrayal. Straight up betrayal. I mean, he said it so many times. He said it on election night. He said it 2 weeks before, at the end of October. He said it throughout the campaign. He also said he's going to lower costs, by the way. Lower costs, stop wars. He has fundamentally betrayed both of those promises. He thinks he must think they're stupid. They are not. They see him for what he is, and they're paying the price for it. They're paying the price for it, housing, healthcare, gas, utility costs. And now we have 6 American families that are mourning their loved ones, and the whole country mourning them. And meanwhile, this morning, the Pentagon puts out a video literally using Call of Duty, making as if this is some video game. I actually think Trump is so delusional and so whatever from his 5 deferments from the draft that he actually thinks this is a game. And it is not a game. And he needs to go and look all those families in the eye and give them, at a minimum, a real explanation for what the hell happened.
Congressman Moulton, we were talking about this so people understand what's happening in Washington, but you all talk to your constituents, you get phone calls into your offices all the time. I know people are concerned about their kids being sent to war, about their grandkids being sent to war, about gas prices going up, about so many things. What are you hearing, and what are you telling people about what the impacts could be should this continue?
What we're hearing is that people are scared. And I wish I could sit here tonight and say, don't be scared. We've got everything under control. But that's not the case. And we had a classified hearing on the Armed Services Committee today with a number of administration officials. And at the end of that hearing, I said to the chairman, the Republican, I said, I didn't think I could be more disillusioned, but I am. They truly are lost in the sauce. They have no plan, no idea what they're trying to achieve, no idea how to get there, no idea how to end this once it's started. And so the honest truth is that this is going to get worse before it gets better. And Americans, not Donald Trump, not his kids, because they've never put on the uniform, not his friends, because they're all profiting off this, betting on the poly markets. Mm-hmm. They're not going to pay the price. The American people are going to pay the price.
Congressman Goodlander, one of the things that struck me too, we don't know what their goals are. So when Secretary Hegseth says we have realistic goals, we don't even know what they are. So that's really hard to decipher. He also talked about destroying their ballistic missiles capacity as one of the goals. Is that realistic? Any of you can answer this really too. I mean, even the things they've mentioned specifically, is that realistic with the capacity we have?
No, we have the most extraordinary and powerful military in the history of the world. We all believe deeply in what our service members can do. But as Jake was saying, look, they've got to have clear objectives, and we've got to have measurable objectives. And this, when it comes to the ballistic missile arsenal, look, this has been part of a shifting, dizzying set of potential objectives that seem to change every couple of minutes with this administration. And it's just not right. It's dangerous.
We're going to have to go. I'm so sad about this because I hope we can do this again. This has been so informative, so helpful. Thank you all so much for being here. Really appreciate it. Thank you for your service and your continued service to the country. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Jen.
Okay, up next, tonight, the Justice Department finally released FBI interviews related to an unsubstantiated sexual assault allegation against Donald Trump. We're going to talk about that, unpack that for you when we come back.